death.
Welcome back, guys, to another Clash Royale video, and today we're back on my brand new account here, taking a look at this weird little deck that I've been using that has almost got me into Arena 5 on this brand new account. Now, as you can see right here, the deck does focus around the Freeze spell, and it does look pretty weird, but for some reason, it just manages to work. Let's go ahead here and take a look at a couple of replays. So here we are, guys, facing off against Clem, who is a level 6 in the Pekka's Playhouse Arena. Now, like I said before, this strategy is pretty weird, but I'm managing to make it work. In fact, I went on a huge winning streak with this strategy. The whole idea of this deck is people often underestimate the skeleton army and they don't think it'll do too much damage to their tower, and that's when you catch them off guard with that freeze spell. In fact, with one skeleton army freeze push, I've managed to take out towers from full health before. The only thing is, the skeleton army can be strong countered by a bunch of different cards in this game, like the arrows, the fireball, the baby dragon, the witch, the bomber. Anything with splash damage really can counter the skeleton army. So you have to know your opponent's deck and know their card rotation. And usually, the way I like to play this strategy is the first minute or so of a battle, I just play defensively and try and figure out what kind of cards my opponent has in this deck. And that way I know how to set up an offense. Now right here, trying to go with that skeleton army, but unfortunately he catches me off guard with his free spell. I was really hoping that the musketeer would kill that witch and then allow the skeleton army to go into the tower to do some decent damage. But like I said, he did catch me off guard with his own free spell right there. But the musketeer managed to sneak in a couple of shots, bringing the tower down to 1700 health. And right there, the goblins taking out the mini Pekka, meaning his rage spell was wasted. Goblin Barrel coming down here, gonna go ahead and use the arrows to take that out, and then sit back and wait for my elixir to build up once again. And now I have a better idea as to what kind of cards my opponent has. I know he has the baby dragon, and I know he has the witch in his deck, and I also just seen the arrows for the first time. So now I know all the counter cards he has in his deck for my skeleton army, so I can play a little bit differently later on. Now right here, he's coming with the witch on the left hand side. Gonna go ahead and support my musketeer with a Valkyrie up front, and then wait to see what he does next. He doesn't do anything, so I'm gonna try and sneak in here on the right hand side as soon as the baby dragon goes down. So as you can see here, skeleton army going in there with the minions. Free spell going down in a couple of seconds here. Now unfortunately, I got tunnel vision right there, focusing on his tower on the right hand side, and I actually totally forgot about that mini Pekka and the baby dragon there on the left hand side. And as you can see, they did some decent damage to my tower, taking it out in the process and even the score to 1 crown apiece. And the goblins were also wasted there, because by the time I placed on the goblins, the mini Pekka was already dead. But like I said, I was so focused on that skeleton army pushing the right hand side that I actually forgot about the mini Pekka there on the left hand side. But we managed to do some decent damage to his king tower right there, bringing it down to 2300 health. And with 30 seconds left in this battle, I'm going to try and put on offense here and go for that 3 crown victory. Valkyrie up front there, he drops down the baby dragon, but I do have the musketeer in the back for support, but unfortunately he does drop down the freeze spell with a mini Pekka to take her out. So I have to pull back and set up for another push right here. Baby dragon coming in there, gonna go ahead and use the cannon to take out that witch and prevent any chip damage to my tower. Musketeer gonna finish off that baby dragon for me, and then I'm gonna start setting up another push here on the right hand side with the Valkyrie as well as the skeleton army. Now take a look at this clutch freeze spell right here, freezing the witch, allowing the Valkyrie as well as the skeleton army to take her out. He drops his free spell out of desperation, but unfortunately it's a little bit too late, and I do get the 3 crown victory. Let's go ahead to the next replay here. So here we are, guys, facing off against another level 6. Now I don't really have the most ideal starting hand, so I'm going to sit back and allow my opponent to make the first move, because he also has a 1 level advantage. So down goes the spear goblins in the back there. Now 2 spear goblins go on the left hand side, so I'm going to counter that lane with a musketeer, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the arrows there on the right hand side to counter that minion horde and get a pretty good elixir advantage in the process. Now right here, I'm going to go ahead and use the skeleton army, but I'm not really trying to do any damage to the tower. All I really want to do is test the waters and figure out what kind of cards my opponent has in his deck and find out what kind of counter cards he's using. So as you can see, he did use the arrows, which is perfect. That's all I really wanted to know. Now I'm going to try and do something risky here on the right hand side, save up a bunch of elixir, and then do a goblin minion free spell push. So down go the goblins with the minions, down goes the free spell as well, but unfortunately at the very last second, he drops down the prince, which does distract my minions. But the goblins by themselves did a decent amount of damage, bringing that tower down to 1400 health. And not only that, the minions damaged the prince enough that I don't have to worry about it on a counter push, which is always a good thing. Now right here, Valkyrie going down to take out the spear goblins, which looking back at it, probably wasn't necessary. because I probably could have soaked up that little bit of chip damage and allowed my Musketeer to finish them off and probably develop a pretty good elixir advantage in the process. But the Valkyrie Musketeer combo went back on a counter push there, and the Musketeer was able to get a couple shots off in that tower, bringing it down to less than 1,000 health. Now right here, knowing that my opponent has the arrows in his deck, I'm going to try and bait out the arrows with a skeleton army, because I know people tend to arrow skeleton armies, whereas they don't tend to use the arrows on stuff like goblins. So as soon as the arrow's going down, going to go ahead with another goblin minion push, wait for the free spell. He drops down the baby dragon as soon as I use the free spell, which is perfect for me. Minions doing damage there, goblins getting some decent damage to that tower, bringing it down to 300 health. Now, I'm going to sit back here a quick second and start building up my elixir once again, because I spent a ton of elixir with that last push here. Now, right here, going to go ahead and start doing another push on the right-hand side with my Musketeer, but my opponent doing an aggressive push on the left-hand lane with a Prince Minion Horde combo. Down go the arrows to take out the Minion Horde first, and then the Skeleton Army going down to distract that Prince. Valkyrie going down the right-hand side to protect my Musketeer. Now, take a look at this push here on the left-hand side. Mini P.E.K.K.A coming in, but the Goblins going down in time to distract it with a cannon for support, and in the end, we take a little bit of chip damage to my tower. We also finish off that tower on the right-hand side, giving myself the 1 crown lead. With only 30 seconds left, all I really have to do is focus on defending, and I should be able to hold out for the 1 crown victory. Right here, going to go ahead and use the Valkyrie to counter the Skeleton Army. Now, notice the placement of that Valkyrie. I placed her so close to the Prince because I didn't want the Prince getting a charge attack off, and as a result, the Valkyrie Musketeer combo was able to finish off that Prince with 0 damage done to my tower. And with 8 seconds left, my opponent has no chance of coming back, and I will be able to get the 1 crown victory. Let's go ahead here to the next replay. So here we are, guys, facing off against a level 8 this time inside Arena 5. This was actually on the very edge of Arena 5. I wasn't quite in it yet, but like I said earlier, this deck was working extremely well for me. I went on a pretty big win streak today. I probably have about 1,000 more replays I could share with you guys if I wanted to, but of course I do have to keep the videos to a certain length. Now right here, my opponent coming in with a Giant Skeleton. I have the Musketeer there for defense. He's going to come in with a Hog Rider as well as some Spear Goblins, but I'm going to go ahead and use the Skeleton Army. Now the great thing with the Skeleton Army is it actually blocks the path of whatever troop your opponent is using, and it slows them down, and usually a Skeleton Army alone can take out something like a Giant Skeleton, a Hog Rider, or even a Giant, which has a ton of health, and that's one of the great uses of the Skeleton Army. Now right here, I'm going to sit back a quick second and build up my elixir, because I know I'm facing a higher level opponent, so I have to play with a defensive mindset. Now right here, he's coming with the Valkyrie up front. Gonna go ahead and wait to see what he does next. He drops down the Skeleton Army, or sorry, the Giant Skeleton. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my Valkyrie in the back, keep both of those units in place, allowing my tower, the minions, as well as my Musketeer some time to take it out. But unfortunately, my minions are only level 5, so they do take quite a bit of time to take out that level 2 Giant Skeleton, but in the end, the Giant Bomb doesn't catch my tower, so definitely not too bad right there. Now once again, sitting back here, building up my elixir, and as you can see, I have a pretty interesting hand right here. The Skeleton Army, the Goblins, the Free Spell, as well as the Cannon. So I'm going to wait to see what he does next. He drops down the Hog Rider, so I'm going to go with a quick Skeleton Army on the right-hand side, and fortunately for me, he drops down the Baby Dragon at the exact same time. So take a look at how much damage this Skeleton Army does to the tower with the Free Spell. Now, unfortunately, I don't have enough cards here to counter that Hog Rider, and as a result, he does some decent damage to my tower, bringing it down to less than 1,000 health, dropping down the WoW emote right there. But unfortunately, that was kind of my mistake. I overcommitted on the right-hand side there, and I didn't leave myself enough elixir to deal with that Hog Rider Baby Dragon push. Now, right here, arrows going down to counter the Goblin Barrel, but we're into the double elixir period here. His tower sitting at 1,300 health, my tower sitting at 900 health, but wait till the overtime period where I make a pretty clutch free spell for the win. Now right here, Cannon going down to distract the Hog Rider with the Skeleton Army once again taking it out. Now the Giant Skeleton is distracted there, but unfortunately the arrows coming down taking out my entire Skeleton Army, so I'm forced to use the Goblins as well as the minions to finish off that level 2 Giant Skeleton. Once again coming out with the Goblin Barrel, gonna go ahead and use the arrows to take it out. And all I'm really trying to do is just play defensively and wait for the perfect opportunity to go on the offensive. Right here, Cannon going down to distract the Hog Rider, Valkyrie in there distracting the Giant Skeleton, Goblin doing damage to the Hog Rider, but unfortunately it's not enough. He does squeak by, and at the very last second, my tower finishing it off. Now at this point in the battle, I'm countering my opponent's counter cards. His arrows were just wasted right there. Down go the Baby Dragon as well as the Valkyrie. So I know all 3 of his counter cards are out of rotation. So all I have to do is focus on defending this push right here, and I should be able to go on the offensive. but unfortunately he's already cycled back to his arrows, but I know that, so I'm going to do another skeleton army bait right here on the right hand side. He's going to go ahead and use his arrows, and that's perfectly what I wanted to do. So down right here go the goblins as well as the minions. Now take a look at what happens right here. Goblins going in there with the minions as well. He drops down the goblin bear at the very last second, but unfortunately my minions are already locked onto the tower, and in a couple of seconds I do get the 1 crown victory. Anyways guys, that's going to be the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching guys, and we'll see you in the next video.